This episode is brought to you by our Patreon. You can support us at patreon.com/curlycriticspod. We have 4 tiers ranging from $3 to $15, and you just really want your support. You could get a bonus weekly show from us called Very Curly Talking, or you could get a monthly postcard signed by us. Thanks.
From WBNE.
Hi, I'm Cari.
And I'm Jade.
And today we're talking about Knives Out.
I like knives.
Okay.
What? I didn't make the weird sound!
You did. I'm so proud of you.
I said something weird instead. Like, I eat paper clips.
Yeah, I'm not editing any of this out.
Okay.
I'm trying to look up information about this movie because I forgot about that.
Happy April Fools, everyone.
This movie's not coming out on April Fools.
Happy not April Fools, everyone.
Okay. This movie came out November 27th, 2019. It was directed by Rian Johnson. And it's cool. What is your history with this movie, Jade?
I watched it about 3 hours ago. So I pretty much just finished it.
Excellent. I saw this movie, like the promos for this movies when it was like just coming out, and I thought, wow, that looks like it's gonna be a cool movie. And then I had no one to see it with, and I just didn't. I thought about it. There was a time that semester I was like one of the only ones left on campus because I was an RA, and I had nothing to do one day, and I was like, what if I just went and saw Knives Out by myself? But then I didn't. I really should have. But my brother saw it, and he just kept talking about how great it was, but he was like, it's not your kind of movie. You won't like it. So last March, when I was on my way to Berlin pre-pandemic, me and my two brothers...
Kind of pre-pandemic.
Yeah. Me and my brothers all watched Knives Out on the plane together.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, this would be so cool in theaters.
Yeah. We were watching it, we were all 30 seconds away from each other the whole time, because we Zach started it, and then I was like, oh, I want to watch that movie, so I started it, and then Tim started it. It was a great bonding exercise. Yeah, I've never seen it on a big screen. But yeah, I wish I had seen it in theaters. I really should just manned up and go.
I might see it with my parents. I might be like, hey, you guys need to watch this movie. It's really good. Because they like mystery stuff. My dad, he basically lives off of the ID channel, which, if you don't know, is all just the real life murder mystery, murder shows, OMG serial killers, whatever. It's just that 24/7. There's nothing else, and it's all real stories. And I'm just like, oh, I can't do that. I can do an hour of it, and then I'm done.
I definitely feel like this movie was so much better the second time.
Oh, really?
Also, I watched it on an airplane the first time. But
that's definitely fair. And you were probably more focused of oh, what's happening on the other screens right now? Oh my gosh.
Well, the other screens were also Knives Out.
Well, yeah, but when they're 30 seconds apart, you're like, oh my gosh, what happens next? Oh, he's at that part right now.
You're right. But the first time I watched it, it was a lot of ooh, what's the mystery? The second time, I was paying attention a lot more to the way that the movie was written. And
yeah. Oh, yeah.
The characters.
So much of that.
And everything. And so it's a lot, the second time coming out, I was like, okay. The first time I watched it, I was like, wow, this movie is good. The second time I'm watching it, I was like, wow, this movie is amazing.
Yeah, it's like a piece of art.
Because I could actually pay attention to it and, pick out the things that are happening.
Mm-hmm. This would have been a cool one to watch in our English class and analyze. Oh my gosh. Would have been incredible.
Our English teacher would have loved this movie.
Oh, yeah. He's not dead.
You're right.
You said would have loved. He probably does love it, hopefully.
I have no idea where he is.
Rest in peace. He's not dead. It's fine.
Anyway, so the plot of this movie is on the night of Harlan Trump. This
Nope.
old guy's birthday, on his 85th birthday. I cannot pronounce his last name apparently. His family
They're the
gathers.
thornberries. They're like the wild thornberries.
Anyway,
Anyways.
on the night of his 85th birthday, his family's gathering together. It's his birthday party, and then the next day they find him dead. And so the movie is about the mystery of figuring all of that out. Also want to say, if you haven't watched this movie, stop and go watch it,
Yeah.
because I don't want to spoil it for you, like spoil the mystery for you,
Yeah.
but also I want to
It's
talk about
got
it.
Yeah, it's got very Clue vibes. So if you like the game, there's a movie, right? If you like the movie, if you just like murder mysteries in general, you'll enjoy this. Even if you don't as much, it's still really captivating and interesting.
Yeah. It's a movie
So,
that is incredibly comedic, but takes itself very seriously for the fact that almost everything that people say is like a joke.
yeah. It's
It's
I don't
beautiful.
Yeah. It's also kind of confusing. It's fine. I'm like, am I supposed to laugh? What is happening right now?
Yeah, I was watching it and I was like, wow, this, like, the humor is very subtle and nuanced and in a
Mm-hmm.
very like intelligent sort of way. And like if you're just watching it, you'd be like, "Oh, that's funny." But like especially the second time I was watching it, I was like, nothing anybody is saying makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like this script is completely insane. It's like they wrote out a comedy movie and then we're like, "Okay, now act it super seriously. Let's go."
I would love, you know how people like they'll take movies or like Disney shows and take out the laugh track. I want them to put one in this movie.
That
That
would
would
be
be so cool.
that would be amazing.
It would just like it'd be the funniest movie. They'd get another award just for comedy. Did they get any
I don't know.
awards?
I was about to
It
ask you that.
said another award. Like I just
Um,
assumed.
Perception.
This movie definitely makes you feel smarter too. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm like a detective. That's so crazy.
It was nominated for Best Original Screenplay, but it didn't win.
Oh,
It won the American Film Institute Top 10 Films of the Year. It won Feature Big Budget Comedy Casting Society of America. And it won some other things.
well, they won some stuff. I'll take it as a win.
It's actually, yeah, I guess it was advertised as a comedy movie if it won comedy. But
Yeah, that's really weird. I didn't I don't know if I ever saw any of the trailers to be honest because I got this movie confused with there's one where it's a lot of famous people and they're all on a train and there's a murder mystery
yeah, that's
and I
Murder on the Orient Express.
yeah, I thought that was this. So I was definitely confused when it started. I had no idea what was going on. It's fine. We got there. Literally, as soon as the music started, at first I was like, nah, this music is weird. I don't even know. Like the beginning music and the ending music and everything in between is just really odd and out of place, which makes it even better. And then like before it just barely cuts to the title whatever. And I'm like, my first note is this gives me Clue vibes and I've never even seen it.
Yeah, they even reference Clue, like in the
I
movie.
know. It's so funny. They reference so many things and I'm just like, yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they reference so many things, and I don't know most of the things that they're referencing.
Besides Hamilton.
Yeah, I got that one. I got the Clue reference.
That was so funny. Like, I knew when he said the line, like, obviously we're Hamilton fans. I was like, oh, that's funny. And then the other guy starts grinning and he's like, oh, that's from Hamilton, right? I'm like, you guys are dumb. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so the movie opens with Marta, the main character, like waking up and being called to go to the Thromby house. I looked it up.
Thromby. I was close.
Yeah, because a private detective has shown up and he's investigating the case, which looks like an apparent suicide.
Yeah.
And so the family is like, it was suicide. Why are you still investigating this? But the detective, Benoit Bloch, got hired by, he just got a wad of cash hired to him, like sent to him, and was like, investigate this. So he's come and he's like, interrogating, well, he's not, the cops are, he's just there, are like interrogating all of the characters, and it's so good. That introduction
Yeah.
scene, I mean, the introduction scene is like an hour long, but
Oh my gosh, it's so long. I was like, when will this end? But it's so important for the entire plot to make sense because you get to see that everyone's lying.
yeah, it's such a great way to introduce all of the characters, because you get to see all of their like all of their personalities right off the bat. You get to see that they're all unreliable narrators,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all
All of
lying.
their point of views from kind of like third person perspective, but from their own viewpoint. And then they're like, no, actually, I think this happened instead. And everyone's just like, what? No.
And just there's like little subtle things. Both Linda and Walt are talking about how much they love their dad, and there's a scene where they're the ones that are there when the cake is being placed. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wait a minute. There's also a scene where Marta shows up, and at first, well, maybe was it Linda, was like, I'm so sorry you weren't at the funeral. Like, I wanted you to be there, but I got outvoted. And then like later somebody else says it, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And all of these like subtle clues. Also, every single time they mention where Marta's from in this movie, it's a different place.
It's somewhere different. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's such a white thing to do.
So it's just these like very nuanced ways of being like, nobody in this family cares about Marta, and they're
Mm-hmm.
all incredibly fake people.
Yeah.
And I like the way that was set up where we could see that instead of them telling us that.
Yeah. There were a lot of not so subtle things at the beginning that maybe you would think were subtle, like the little one liner that could have been missed by anybody about the real versus prop knives, or the the note that Harlan wrote to his daughter saying that her husband was cheating on him. And so the husband finds the note once Harlan is dead, and the note's blank, and he's like, "Oh, good." And I'm like, "No, that's definitely a secret message. Like, you burn that. You not like burn it as in see the
Uh-huh.
message, but like literally get rid of the evidence. You idiot. Why would you just leave it there?" All of these people are just really dumb, in my opinion. Besides Marta, she's actually really smart.
Also, Ransom.
Ransom and Harlan. That dude's pretty smart
Yeah.
too. Like,
Even
dang.
the detective is a complete idiot.
Oh, he's so dumb, and I guess that's what makes it a comedy.
But I didn't realize that the first time I watched it. I wasn't paying much attention. I watched it again. I was like, this guy has no clue what he's doing.
Yeah, he has no idea. He's acting like a hick Sherlock Holmes, and he's literally stupid. Like, he doesn't know what's going on.
It's so good. So
And
there,
so Marta's like, yeah, you're like the worst detective ever. And he's like, well, you're not such a great murderer yourself, which was hilarious to me. I was like, that's great.
yeah. So all of the family's getting interrogated, and then we get introduced to Marta's side of the story, and we discover that Marta has this thing where she can't lie because every time she lies, she throws up.
It's like the lasso of truth, but gross.
Which I was when I was watching it, I was like, this is completely out of place. Like this makes no sense. But it's just a very like comedic thing.
Yeah.
But we get introduced to her side of the story, and basically what happens is Marta thinks that she gave Harlan too much morphine and
Mm-hmm.
accidentally made him overdose. And then so this whole thing ensues where Harlan kills himself because he doesn't want Marta to get the blame, and Marta has to come back and do all of these things to set up and like cover her tracks. And then we're like carried on this story, and we find that out within the first like 45 minutes of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of those things where you're reading a book and like the plot seems to be resolved, but then you look and there's like 100 pages left,
Yeah, and
and you're
you're
like,
like,
oh
wait,
no.
what is happening right now? Yeah, I kind of figured that out. I was like, no, this isn't the end.
So then we're taking on this spiral of what happens next, and
Yeah.
the
As soon
will
as
is
the crime lab blew up, I was like, oh, there's way more to this that's happening. That's when I kind of knew.
read, and we discover that Harlan changed his will a week before and gave everything to Marta.
Mm-hmm.
And the family freaks out, instantly turns on Marta, and Marta runs away with Ransom, who is the black sheep of the family, very such a little jerk, but he's also
Very,
hilarious.
very cute Chris Evans.
We
It's
love
fine.
Chris Evans.
Yeah, even throughout this entire thing, I was like, oh, he's such a D-bag. I love him.
Literally, I have a note that says, I love Ransom, such a sarcastic little prick.
Yeah, like him just smirking the whole time. I'm like, oh, this is what Emma Lord meant when she wrote smirk 3,000 times. That was it. That dumb little smile on his face. That was it.
And it's just funny because we're set up to believe that Ransom hates his family as much as Marta does at this point, and he wants to see them fall, and he's helping her unravel the mystery. And
Mm-hmm.
then we discover that he's the reason there's a mystery in the first place.
Yeah, I knew. I was like, no, something's up. He would not just help someone. That's not that's not a thing. No. I didn't have it all figured out, obviously. Like the Marta plot line was insane. I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute. What?" But then with Chris Evans, I was like, "No, that makes sense."
Yeah, so what happened is Ransom. This is your last call if you haven't watched the movie.
Yeah.
What happens is Ransom switches the bottles that the medicines are in so that Marta will accidentally cause Harlan to overdose because Harlan or Ransom discovers that Harlan's changing the will and giving everything to Marta. But if Marta is suspected of murdering Harlan, even accidentally, she can't get the inheritance anymore.
Mhm.
Which when they were talking about the will and Joni like looked that up and she's like, what about the Slayer clause? And everybody was like, huh, is the investigation still ongoing? Do you think Marge is a suspect? And then like 2 seconds later, they're back like on their own stuff. And I was like, you were so close. So close.
Oh my gosh.
But Ransom switches out the bottles, and so Marta thinks that she caused him to overdose, but Marta knows which bottle, like which liquid is which, because they feel different. And so
Mm-hmm.
she didn't actually overdose. And basically, the spiral, there's the blood toxicology report, and so they spend some time like trying to find it. And uh then Ransom kills the housekeeper because she
Mm-hmm.
figures stuff out, and so he has to get rid of her. And this whole thing is just Marta did nothing wrong. Harlan committed suicide, but Ransom killed Fran,
Yeah.
and he blew up a crime lab.
Yeah.
And it was just once you get past the beginning character building, it moves so fast,
Mm-hmm.
and
It
it's so
really
well done.
does. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So we need to stop the podcast right now because I just need everyone to know that this is the second week in a row we're going to be talking solely about Jamie Lee Curtis.
We talked about Jamie Lee Curtis last week.
Yeah, she was in that season.
Oh, we didn't talk about her for very long though.
But like tiny hair trophy, Jamie
I
Lee Curtis and her tiny hair.
I wanted to stop the podcast to talk about the sweaters,
Oh, well, Jamie Lee Curtis though.
but the sweaters,
Okay, Casey.
the outfit, like all of the colors in this movie are really nice. It's
Mm-hmm.
very aesthetically pleasing,
Yeah,
and
I
they're wearing
thought
sweaters, so it's even better.
um everyone's outfits were just incredible. Like Jamie Lee Curtis in that red pantsuit. Yes, ma'am. Get it. And I love the outfit Marta was wearing. That made me very happy. Why she kept the same shoes on for days, I will never know.
I wear the same shoes multiple days in a row.
I only do that if I'm working.
No, I have a pair of white tennis shoes. I wear them with every outfit.
Oh. I also don't have a sense of style.
I mean,
So,
like, if you have like one pair of casual shoes,
I mean, I'll wear like the same 99-cent flip-flops every day. That's just out of laziness. I don't want to put socks on.
fair. Socks are a lot of work.
Yeah, dude. I'm not here for that. But yes, the sweaters are nice. The fact that Marta just happened to be wearing a sweater the same time Chris Evans was wearing his notorious sweater, I was like, what?
I was looking up on the trivia and it said that as a character choice, they wanted Ransom to be the kind of person that has really expensive clothing that he doesn't take care of.
Hmm.
And so like all of his clothes have like holes in them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I think that was a cool choice.
Yeah.
It took me until the last like 20 minutes of this movie to realize that Benoit Blanc, his like random speeches and monologues make no sense.
Yeah. No. And especially when he was rambling on in the car with Marta, I was like, what are you saying?
That's
Those
what
words do not make sense together.
that's when I was like, huh? But when he was talking to the grandma
Mm-hmm.
and he was just like going on and
Oh my
on,
gosh.
like on like I cannot tell you what he said, but he was going on and on and on, and then he's like, I think you know want to tell me something. And I was like, how did you get to that point? I'm confused.
Yeah, he's talking about how, like, when you're older, you feel deeper, and that includes grief. And these kids these days don't know what they're talking about. And so he was just trying to relate to her. I don't know. He just didn't make any sense. When he first opened his mouth, I hated the accent more than anything on this planet. It was awful.
I've got great news for you, Jade. They're making sequels with him.
Oh, I know. And I love that for my poor ears. That makes me sad. It got better throughout the movie, but when he first opened his mouth, I was like, what accent is this? What are you doing? When he's like playing the piano key, the same key every time, I'm just like, stop being annoying. What are you doing?
That's the part I was texting you that I rewound to like figure out. I was trying to figure out why he was hitting the piano.
I don't remember that, but
so like
go on.
In his, like the same piano key over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote down like what the people said that made him hit it, but I didn't put down what they said afterwards. And basically, every time he hits the piano key, the actual cop asks the question, "What time did you arrive?" So it's a signal to ask the question.
Okay. Why? I guess, like, what's the point of that? I get the cool symbolism, but
just because he's the one there to get the interview and he wants that question to be answered. So, like, you're getting too off topic. Ask this question.
I guess. Does he do the same thing when he flips the coin?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to that one because it wasn't as loud.
It was so obvious when something was supposed to be obvious, but it was really subtle, if that makes sense. Like, every little thing in this movie you knew was going to come up again, somehow. It was kind of mind-numbing a little bit, because you're just like, oh my gosh, I have to pay attention this entire movie. It wasn't one of those where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna turn this on. No.
The characters in this movie are really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They remind me of the characters at a murder mystery party.
Yeah.
Back when we used to do that, like 15 years ago. Very much you like get a card and are like, okay, this is what you're doing, and you just do it over the top.
Yeah.
But I think that was the point. Like, that was part of the trope.
Yeah. It was very Clue-like, but done in a really good way, like modern way. I want a trick window in my house.
You'll have a trick window. I'll have a secret library.
Okay. I mean, what if I just had, like, a secret room? Because a trick window, that doesn't really do anything.
It does when you're trying to cover up tracks for accidentally murdering your boss.
Yeah, but, like...
Did you notice that almost everything in his house was, like, based on one of his books?
Yeah.
And the trick window was one of those things.
Yeah. Because the detective kept going around and was like, oh my gosh, this is just like in the book. I'm like, shut up. You're so dumb.
Honestly, that's the level of ego I'm trying to strive to.
The white detective was so annoying. He was just like, oh, I get it. Like at the end when Marta throws up and he's like, oh, that means she's lying.
And everybody's like...
And the black guy is, yeah.
Like, yeah, we know.
Like, yeah, we get it. You're stupid.
It was fun watching this movie like almost a whole year after I watched it the first time because I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
really remember all of the details. So I was
Yeah.
like watching it and I was like, I remember that this is not the full story, but I don't know what is the full story.
I don't know what happens.
And then as like the movie kept progressing, I was like, oh yeah, I remember what happened now.
Yeah. It also gave like cool Sherlock Holmes vibes, and they knew that and called it out. Like they said, "Oh, I'm Sherlock. Oh, welcome to the case, Watson." Like all this stuff. And that was also really cool. It just like, "Oh, we have this consultant that's hired on, but he's kind of weird." But then he's not smart like Sherlock, so that kind of sucked. It's like, you're doing this big reveal and you barely got there. You had a piece of paper that told you everything. So,
Yeah, I am excited for sequels to see this character
mhm.
grow up because he
Oh my
gives me Gilderoy Lockhart vibes
Oh my gosh, I hate that.
of like, I'm very famous, I'm really famous for doing this specific thing, but I also am terrible at my job. And I don't know how to do
Yeah.
any of these things. I've just gotten really lucky this point forward.
Yes.
Like it's not
Yes.
Harry Potter, so he's not like obliviating people and stealing their stories. But it's very much
Yeah.
like in this situation, Marta figured it out pretty much.
Yeah.
And he just happened to
No,
be in
she
the
definitely did.
right place at the right
She's like,
time.
wait, no, it wasn't you did it. The person that Ransom killed, she was saying Hugh did it because you always made the housekeepers call you by your name, Hugh. And I was like, oh, that's good. Ooh.
Marta's a queen.
She literally, we should have done this last month because freaking woman power.
Uh, yes. We can do women
We
power 365 days of the year.
No, you're right. I just like she's
You're
so great.
you're right.
And she's like our age solving a murder. Like how cool. She was also part of it, so I was like, "Nope, I'm good. I don't need
I
that kind
love
of anxiety in my life."
oh
But
my gosh.
like
I love how she went from like this scared little nurse who's very out of place to that end scene where she's standing on the balcony drinking the My House, My Rules cup. Just like all the family is looking up at her. I was like, you go, girl. You go.
oh yeah. Just like this is my house, literally.
Also, when they were reading the will and they're like, we're the Thrombies and this is still our house. And then they all paused and like turned because he hadn't finished reading the will. That was great.
I had just assumed that she got the house too. I didn't realize that he hadn't said it yet until they all turned around and I was like, oh, they don't know. Because I
Yeah.
just assumed.
I mean, at that point, they probably
Yeah.
knew too. They were just hopeful.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. Um, I think the biggest scene, in my opinion, is when they're all in I guess in their den, like family room, and the fire's going, and they're all kind of arguing or whatever, and they're talking politics, and they're talking about um immigration, and then suddenly they bring Marta into the room and just blatantly ask her. I just that was so cringeworthy. But I also see that happening, and I know someone was watching that movie going, why is that a bad thing?
It's very, we are incredibly rich white people, and this is how we feel about immigrants.
Yeah. It was so weird to watch because I know I've had conversations like that with people, and it's okay to disagree on stuff. Whatever. It just, that stuff is still happening.
Yeah, and
And I
it's
thought
in
that movie was made in 2020. It was made in 2019 and it's been 2 years.
I mean, yeah. But it's done in a way like it's done in a comedic setting,
Yeah.
but like it's not funny. Like
No.
we have those conversations all the time.
Mhm.
And I think that's enough.
Especially being in Texas, we have those conversations all the time.
Yes. That's something that this movie also does really well. It does the satire of it all really well.
Mhm.
It's just this movie is just so good.
It's incredible.
Like I wouldn't say that it's one of my favorite movies of all time,
Mhm.
but I look at this movie and I'm like, this is a work of art. This is a
It
good
really
movie.
is. I see myself watching it several more times. I told my brother to watch it. I assumed he already had because he's in love with his like big action people like Keanu Reeves, Chris Evans, John Krasinski, people like that. So I just assumed he had already seen it. I was wrong. It's fine.
I don't know if my parents have seen it. They might have also watched it on the plane at some point.
Fair. That was a long flight. And probably one of the only good movies.
Yeah, I remember watching that. I remember I tried to watch Jojo Rabbit, but I just couldn't. That wasn't a movie you watch on an airplane, and I
No.
still
Plus
haven't seen it.
that's definitely a war movie,
It's a
isn't
comedic
it?
war movie though.
I don't know that much about it. Okay, I just
I couldn't. I watched like 5 minutes of it, and I was like, I can't do this.
yeah. I want to see that one though. Oh, we should do that one. Okay.
I
Just
don't.
another like one off
Maybe I just didn't really
maybe.
like the beginning. I would really have to push through.
Um
Anyway, it's probably a good movie. I just was trying to watch it on an airplane after leaving
yeah.
Berlin. And that's a thing, watching movies about World War II while leaving Berlin,
Oh my
even
gosh, I
comedic
that
ones.
didn't even set in until you said that. Oh no. Nope.
Yeah, my
We're not here for that.
my favorite lines in this movie are the donut monologue
Oh my gosh, he's so dumb.
at the end, where he's like, "There's a donut, and your story seems to fit the hole perfectly, but if you look closer, the donut hole has another hole." And I'm like, "You're such an idiot," but all right. And
Like it
also,
makes sense, but it's one of those things where it's like, "Oh, explain it to me like I'm 5." It's just so dumb.
Also, near the end, they're like explaining this whole story, and Ransom goes, "This is stupid with two O's." It's like, okay.
I love him. He can do no wrong.
Except he literally murdered somebody.
Don't he tried to murder someone else.
It's like on TikTok, there's all of these things that are like on Book Talk specifically where you like give recommendations all the time. It's like, if you like this book, try this. And so there are a lot that are like, if you like enemies to lovers, try therapy. Or if you like dark, mysterious characters who would kill you in real life, try therapy. And then, like, Ransom is definitely that character.
Oh my
Where I'm like, this
gosh.
man would not hesitate to kill me, but also he's just a precious little cinnamon roll. Which, thanks for that, Chris Evans.
Yeah, you're also very into Raylo.
Don't pump for Raylo.
So, but like enemies to lovers.
I I'm not saying that I'm not part of that group.
You're like, no, I was actually just proving that point.
I was just telling you about the TikToks. I actually prefer slow burn friends to lovers. because I'm
Oh
slightly
yeah.
mentally sane. But a good enemies to lovers hits the spot sometimes.
I always wonder with like people I truly despise, I'm like, am I one day gonna marry this person? And then I think, no, you're gross.
You told me that was gonna happen to me once. It's like this is how it's gonna happen. My future husband's either somebody that I'm going to meet and like love at first sight, or it's gonna be somebody that I actively despise. And then
Yeah, that you won't see coming. I do remember that conversation. Yeah. So awkward.
so let's see what happens.
Okay, there's something else that I think really needs to be pointed out.
Yes.
In the car, when Daniel Craig is waiting for Marta to come out, and he's listening on his phone to a song. You know that song, don't you?
I don't remember.
Oh, Gus.
I
Okay,
wasn't paying attention to the song. I was paying
listen.
attention to the ambulance.
Whatever. I wasn't paying attention to that at all because I knew I sing this song all the time. So I was like, wait a minute. I know those words. What? I guarantee you. This is my theory anyways. He was listening to Jeremy Jordan's version of Losing My Mind. That's what he was singing. Losing My Mind.
Honestly,
Not going left, not going right.
honestly, I can get behind this.
So I'm just saying,
This is a question for the Discord.
yeah, it's not a question. No, it is a are you for or against? This is war.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
There is no question about it. Did he create this song? Did he originate this song? No. Does that mean that it wasn't out by 2019? No. That's what matters. Also, the fact that
Honestly,
I don't know that much music and I knew that song really says something about who I am as a person.
honestly, Benoit Black seems like the kind of guy who would be a hardcore Jeremy Jordan stan.
Yeah, and I hate that because he's annoying. I'm like, no, that's not okay.
I'm just thinking about how Claire is going to listen to this episode and be like, thanks for the Jeremy Jordan stuff.
You're welcome for the shout out. That's a hot mess. Yeah, so Jamie Lee Curtis, Jeremy Jordan. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Do you have any other comments?
Do we rate this?
Yeah,
Is
I was
that a
going to get to
thing?
that. I was going to ask you any other
I'm
comments.
sorry.
I
Um,
feel like we've been fighting a lot on this podcast.
it's like fake fighting.
I mean, it's
I
definitely fake fighting,
accidentally, yeah.
but we've gotten to the point of our podcasting career where now we're just like fighting each other. We've been doing that in real life for like 15 years, but now we're doing it on the internet.
Yeah. Um, I like talked about all my points on accident, so that's cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I talked about
Also,
all.
I knew it was going to be a prop knife. We all knew.
Yeah, I did too.
Why was it a Game of Thrones knife thing though? That's what I'm
I was trying to figure out that whole movie. I feel like there has to be a reason.
There has to be a reason that everything's like pointing at their head. It really does look like the Game of Thrones thing though.
This says Ryan Johnson was happy to get a Sondheim reference and Via Blanc singing a song from Follies in the car. Apparently, the legendary musical theater composer is a big fan of mysteries and puzzles.
Huh. Well, that's cool. It was
I'm
just
trying.
such a weird thing to put in there. But I knew.
You're a better musical theater fan than me.
I'm a better Jeremy Jordan fan than you, for sure.
I'm not going to deny that.
Musical theater, I don't think I know as much, honestly.
Yeah, I probably know more about music theater in general.
But I think we both need credit for watching 1776. I think if anything makes us true stans, happy birthday, Mr. Feeney, March 31st, by the way. But, if anything makes us true musical theater fans, it is suffering through that 2 hour movie.
Was it 2 hours?
At least. It was an eternity. I still have PTSD from it. I'm like, oh my gosh. I still think back to sitting on my couch going, wow, this will never end.
It's 2 hours and. Oh. Did we watch the extended edition?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
Because it's 2 hours and 21 minutes, but the extended Blu ray cut is 2 hours and 48 minutes.
I don't think we watched it on Blu-ray, so I think we watched the 220.
It felt like 3 hours.
Yeah. No, it genuinely felt like 3 hours. We had to set time out of the day to watch it.
Ryan Johnson said that he didn't even look at Game of Thrones when he made that thing.
That's so funny. But, like, everyone could see it.
Yeah,
The
a lot of.
filmography was really impressive throughout this whole thing.
Yeah,
So,
my favorite part was when Marta walks out after the will and the camera starts shaking. I was like,
mm-hmm.
brilliant.
Nice. Yes.
I
That was
feel
pretty cool.
I feel like all cinematography things that I can notice are really cool because I can notice them. Not even like
Yeah.
they may not actually be that cool. I'm just like, oh, I noticed that. That's cool.
Yeah. Or like the sun shining through the knives when Daniel Craig sits on that, like, knife chair. And so, like, his head is in the circle where the knives are and the sun is shining through. I'm just like, oh, magnifique. So good.
So, what do you think the Rotten Tomatoes critic and audience score are?
Critics,
I have to find my app.
87. Audience, 90.
Okay, I'm gonna say 90 critic, 95 audience.
I was leaning that direction.
Okay, the critic score is a 97.
F.
And the audience score is a 92.
Well,
So, good job, everybody.
I was definitely 10 points off. That's better than some. Some have been like 50 points off, and I'm just like, oh,
Soul.
Yikes. That's right, you have all the stats right in front of your
Yeah,
face.
I'm looking at them. I was trying to see if this is the highest ranked critic movie that we've done. Technically, Animal Film is more. But, like, that's not technically a movie. So I would say that this is the best movie we've done. Critically.
Nice.
Not personally.
I just realized the guy who said immigrants we get the job done is the same guy who interrogated Marta about being an immigrant
Yeah,
and like didn't want immigrants. Oh my gosh, I just put that together. That's sickening. Okay. We gotta move on.
Okay, what score do you give this?
I wasn't ready this time. Let's see. It was really good. I don't know. I feel like I would do the same. I would give it a better score the second time around So I feel like this, I need to compensate a little bit. Um, we do it on a scale of 10. I was still thinking 100 for some
I
reason.
mean,
That's
you can give it on
awkward.
a scale of 100 and I can
Yeah, you
convert.
can just do the math. No, I won't do
And just having
that.
100 pineapples is too many pineapples.
That's what Newsies deserves. So many.
That's so many pineapples to eat. So many road
You know
trips.
what? I bet cruises go through 10 times more than that. I
Probably,
don't I
but
don't even know what's
I don't even
happening.
like fresh pineapple, so
I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
an 8.5.
Shut up! I told you! I told you! I
I feel
gave
like
it. What? What do you give it?
I'm gonna give it a 9, but I feel like you
That's.
overcompensated too much. You were like, I really like this movie, and then you gave it an 8.5.
I do really like it. I just. I wasn't like in love with it.
That's
I
fair.
wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Like, it was good. Whatever, you
Fine.
gave Die Hard like a 3. Shut up.
I
I
gave
don't
Die
want to
Hard a
hear it.
5. A
I
nice
don't want to hear
50%.
it from you. That is a classic movie.
It's not a good movie, Jade.
Shut up. No. I'm not. No, I can't do this right now. No.
Anyway, that gives it an 8.67.
I think that's fair. I was gonna give it somewhere in the range of like an 8.7, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I like going by fives. Unlike you, who gave something like a 0.25 last week. And I was
No,
like,
I gave it a
no.
6.8.
See, that's dumb. We're not gonna do that.
This
I'm not
puts,
gonna do that.
well, I'm gonna keep doing it. This put Knives Out at the sixth best movie. No,
Again,
no, just kidding. The fifth best movie.
oh my gosh, what did we bump out of number 5?
Hamill film.
Oh god. I have to change my score.
No, it's done. We're
No.
slowly working our way at getting rid of all of the musicals out of the top 5.
Well, because that's all we've done.
Yeah, so now it's Hidden Figures at number 1, rightfully so. Bandstand at number 2, rightfully
Mm.
so. Stage Newsies at number 4, and Klaus at that number. That Stage Newsies was at 3. Klaus
I
is
was
at
about to
4.
say, it was like you went out of order.
There's a like a title row, and so the stuff starts on the second row, and so I keep getting confused. Thank you, Excel. And then Knives Out is number 5.
See, I think the top 3 are gonna stay there for a while. Anything
Oh,
that gets a 10 in general, yeah.
yeah. The top 4 all have 10s in them.
Yeah. I'm surprised this one actually bumped Hamill film. That's impressive to me,
We give
honestly.
Hamilton film an 8.5 and an 8.
That makes sense.
So this is a higher
Yeah.
score.
Yeah.
Cool.
But this movie talked about Hamilton, so really, Hamilton's still in 5th place. And I just need everyone to know that
Okay.
in their hearts.
Do you want to take us out?
To dinner? Yes, please. Let's get
Okay.
some curly fries. Okay, first of all,
I want curly fries.
I am sorry about that. Let's go to let's go to Arby's. I want a shake.
Do we get a shake from Arby's?
It's called a Jamocha shake. It's like not even coffee flavored.
But
It's
like,
so good.
okay, we're not going to talk about this right now.
No. Arby's, sponsor us. Okay. Ah. First, I wanted to give a shout out to our first patron on Patreon. Thank you to Mad Cherry, aka Madison, aka one of our very good friends from high school. She graciously became our first patron, has been with us through this entire journey, has been our tech guru because she is a pro jamer and no one can compare because sometimes we don't know what we're doing, and that's okay. That's when you ask for help from people. But she's incredible, and thanks, Madison. And if you want to talk to Mad Cherry or anyone else, please, Patreon.
Yeah, you can join our Patreon and hang out with us and the other awesome WB&E creators.
There's so many.
If you join our $3 or $15 Patreon tiers.
Yeah. Those are very extreme. Okay. They're like the opposite side. It's really funny. Anyways, we have social media. We have a Twitter. I post on Facebook sometimes. We talk about this every week, and I just don't do it. And it's okay. That's really for friends and family to ignore us on. So
Some of them listen. I look at our stats. And I'm
that's
like, hey, that's where Jade lives. And I'm like, hey, that's where I live.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, okay, someone's listening. It's probably our still number one fan, Aubrey. Although, Madison?
Aubrey's like, she's on thin ice. But she
I
stays
don't
at number
know.
one because we like apricot.
The one-eyed cat.
I have had a lot of people be like, oh, I've heard about your show. And I've also had a lot of people be like, I haven't listened yet. And I'm like, just listen to it. Listen to how
That's
great our show
so
is.
crazy. Yeah, some people ask me like, oh, so how's your podcast doing? And I'm like, how do you know that? Do I have a sign on my face? What the? Anyways, social media, Twitter, Instagram,
I have a TikTok now.
oh my gosh, TikTok. That's very cool. I
You
don't
can
even.
follow me at Carrie Zwerg. Cari Zwerg. Zwerg.
She forgot how to spell her own name. Me too.
I know how
And
to spell Zwerg. I can spell that real fast because every time I go somewhere, they're like, what's your last name? And I'm like, do you need me
oh,
to spell it out?
same. Okay, next week we're going to talk about how Carrie has anger issues. But this week we're going to talk about our Gmail and how we have one of those. So Gmail us at curlycriticspod@gmail.com. This is the longest social thing I've ever done. Oh my gosh.
Are you done?
I hope so. That's enough.
Great. The Curly Critics are part of the WB&E network, which has 8 great shows, and we love all of them. One of the shows is called Perspective Z, where Rachel and Katrina are 2 Gen Zers and they just talk about life, and they're the coolest.
Oh my gosh, they're so nice too. Like, if you want to talk to anyone in the Patreon, it's literally them. Like, they're so sweet.
Yes. And they have new episodes every Monday. Here's a
Just like
promo.
us.
Have you ever wondered what Gen Z was thinking while half the generation was eating Tide Pods?
Or what those gosh darn kids are up to these days?
Well, then you should check out our podcast, Perspective Z, hosted by me, Rachel.
And me, Katrina. We discuss pop culture, politics, and everything in between, and give you our perspective as 2 Gen Z ladies trying to figure out our place in the world.
Listen along to hear our thoughts and opinions as we gear up for college and beyond.
So make sure to check out new episodes of Perspective Z every Monday on the WBNE network at WBNE.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
Now on Spotify.
Toodles!
Sometimes when you listen to a podcast, it's like a donut where there's a hole in the middle and you just need something to fill the hole. And so you go looking for more podcasts, but then you realize that donut has another hole in it. I don't know where I was going with that. Thanks for listening.
Bye.